This is Calm AF, a podcast for humans who are hard on themselves. A podcast for the overthinkers, people pleasers, perfectionists, and overachievers. I'm Kristen Finch, and I'm going to teach you how to quiet that incessant negative chatter in your head. Because you know what a person with a calm mind can do? Anything they want. Grab your coffee, gorgeous soul, because today's the day you get Calm AF. Hello, gorgeous soul. Welcome to Calm AF. I'm so excited to be here with you. I am excited for today's topic. It's super fun. We are going to talk today. I'm going to talk to you all about the fun bucket. It's just fun to say fun bucket. So even if nothing else, I'm going to have fun saying fun bucket like 50 times. And if you are in Calm AF life, you are probably like kind of rolling your eyes right now like, oh my God, here she goes again. She will not shut up about this fun bucket. And I won't. Can't stop, won't stop. I won't shut up about it because it is such a powerhouse of a tool. I think there are very few things that create like inner energetic shifts in people more than the fun bucket. I just think, and I'm going to tell you all about it in a minute, but first let me tell you what it is. So when I create goals, the way I teach goals to my clients is we do future self goals. We do them every month in Calm AF Life. And what we are doing is creating feelings goals for the different areas of your life. So your physical health, your mental health, your home, your career, on and on. So I look at each of these kind of areas separately. And for some reason, instead of calling them areas of your life, I call them buckets. So these are the buckets. There's the physical bucket, the work bucket, and so on. So when we are creating our goals, every month we rate each bucket on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being everything is horrible and 10 being everything is amazing. I wouldn't change anything about this bucket. And then we look at those scores, right? We look at the rating and we choose which bucket we're going to focus on for the next 30 days. The way I teach it, and I'm a believer that, it doesn't actually matter which bucket you start in, but it matters that you just pick one. Otherwise, you're diluting your power, right? If you're like, I'm going to be focused on my work and my money and my marriage, then your attention is kind of spread between 3 things. So they kind of get a little bit of your attention when I believe that everything will have an impact no matter what bucket you work on, but focusing on one at a time really starts kind of like moving the number up the scale. But like I said, it doesn't matter which bucket you start with, because I think of it like a champagne fountain. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but when you have like the stack of champagne glasses, they're all stacked on each other in like a pyramid, and you just pour the champagne into the top glass and it flows down and fills all the other glasses. This is the way I think about the buckets, why it doesn't matter, because you're going to pour into this one, so it's going to get a lot of the attention, but all of the buckets are going to be impacted and influenced in a positive way, no matter what. So because of the way we are programmed, humans in general, which is to see life as something that we need to always be like fixing, like we're a project that we always need to be working on ourselves. Oh, I just need to work on myself a little more, and I need to fix this thing about myself that's broken. So because of that programming, whenever it's time to choose which bucket you're going to focus on, most of my clients will pick the one that feels the worst or the bucket that's causing the most pain, right? So I hate the way I look in the mirror. I hate my body. I feel like all I ever do is like, I hate getting dressed. So I am going to pick the physical health bucket so that I can really work on myself and work on this and change my body so that I can feel better. Or my marriage is a dumpster fire and I am miserable all of the time. It takes up all of my brain bandwidth. And so I'm going to choose the marriage bucket as my focus because I need that to get better. In order for me to feel better at all, I need my marriage to be better, right? Or whatever it is, your money bucket, the work bucket, whatever. So I look for the thing that is bad, that needs to be fixed, that I can work on, and I work on it so that I can feel better. And this is just always what happens, right? Like when I say, okay, it's time to pick your bucket, and someone will be like, oh, I'm going to work on my marriage because things are, it's kind of sucking the life out of me right now. I'm going to focus on that. And I'm always, I've been doing this for a long time, these future self goal writing workshops. And if you go back 10 years and listen to recordings from 10 years ago when we were just like on the phone where it wasn't actually like on Zoom, you will probably hear me when someone says, this is what the area I'm going to focus on. I have probably said it 1,000 times, like, okay, yeah, like you could totally focus on this thing that you're struggling in, or don't forget about that fun bucket. Like the fun bucket is the bucket that we tend to, look at differently than the others. It feels like it's less important. And I get why, right? I get why, because if you're looking at like, here are the things that we are told are the most important, and here are the rules to having a good body and a good home and a good marriage and all of these things. There's all these rules. And if I am not like reaching that, if I am not achieving what it's supposed to look like, well, then I'm not doing my job. I need to work on it. Fun in that list of all of the buckets feels frivolous. Fun feels like a luxury, like it's something that we get to do after you've fixed all the problems, right? That narrative that is pushed down our throats, like hustle, hustle, work, work, and you can play later, earn your play. So fun feels like the things that we would choose only after all of the other things have been worked on, right? After you've worked on your mindset and you've worked on your body and you've worked on your money and you've worked on your marriage, then yeah, go ahead and focus on your fun. That'll be cute. Right? So this is what we think about. I think people sometimes just completely disregard that fun is even one of the buckets because they're like, oh, no, I'm not going to. So I'm always like, don't forget about the fun bucket. So that's part of the reason why people aren't picking it, because it just feels like so unimportant in the list of things that feel more important. Another reason, and the big reason, right, is because we aren't taught how to be empowered in our feelings, right? We are taught that our external world determines our feelings. So we are powerless. We are powerless. We are at the mercy of our marriage. We are at the mercy of our job. We are at the mercy of how our body looks. Like, because we think that these external things are what's creating how we feel. So I'm miserable in my marriage. I cannot feel better until my marriage changes, until my partner changes, right? Because my marriage is responsible for my energy and my moods and how my life feels. Or I cannot feel any better in my life until I get a new job. This job is sucking the life out of me. This job is totally the reason why I am unhappy. Like, we are blaming our feelings on our external circumstances. And then so we look at, well, I have to change my external circumstances in order to feel better, right? So that's why, because of this, that's why we think we need to work on things. It's also why you people please, why you energy manage, why you overthink, why you overachieve. It's because you are trying to control things that are out of your control. You're trying to control how the entire world looks, how everyone's experiencing the world, how everyone is feeling, everyone's moods. You're trying to control that so you can feel good. And there is no end to that. There's no end. You will never get to, okay, my marriage is fixed. Everybody's happy. My body looks the way. You will never get to the end of that because you don't actually believe that that's what's causing the problem. That's a different story. I'm not going to go down that tangent. What you are doing is trying to control the external world so that you can feel better, when it's actually the opposite of that. When you start to feel better, your external world changes. And this is just something that people don't believe until they experience it, until they try it, which is why I'm constantly being like, how about that fun bucket, right? When we're doing goals, I'm like, hey, fun bucket. Don't forget. Anyone want to try the fun bucket? So I just keep saying it. I will not shut up about it. And I would say maybe 2 months ago, maybe a little bit longer now, finally, someone in Calm AF Life, one of my clients, so this program has been on for like a year and a half almost now. And finally, my client, Emily. Now, I know people have picked it before, but this was a fun example. My client, Emily, a couple of months ago, she's like, you know what? I'm working, things are hard in my business. I'm trying to change up my business and I've got, some of these other issues going on, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick the fun bucket. And maybe she did it to prove me wrong, to shut me up. I don't care. What she did was she chose the fun bucket. So, and if you listen back to the video, I just listened to it to see kind of what she talked about. And I literally cheer. When she said, I guess I'm going to try the fun bucket, I yay! I totally cheered. So she picks the fun bucket. She goes off for the next 30 days. I am prioritizing fun over working on myself. I am prioritizing fun over working on my marriage or my job or whatever it might be. So she shows up to our group call maybe 2 weeks later, and she was like, you guys, I highly recommend you focus on the fun bucket. Next 30 days, pick the fun bucket. She's like, it's amazing. I'm dancing in my kitchen. I am just wearing shimmery lotion and having fun. And I'm intentionally prioritizing fun into my life. And I cannot believe this, but not only am I feeling better in the fun bucket, like has that obviously moved from like a low number to a very high number, feeling fun. She's like, everything else feels better too. My marriage feels better. My business feels better. My parenting, my goals, my health, everything feels better while I'm focusing on the fun bucket. I was like, you don't say. What? That is shocking news. No, I'm just kidding. So the next week, another client, Amber, she wrote in our little community portal. She's like, I have been inspired by Emily, watching Emily and how choosing the fun bucket has just changed everything for her. I am going to do the same thing. I'm going to choose the fun bucket for the next 30 days. And wouldn't you know, everything just feels easier. She was off in Mexico with her boyfriend. I mean. And one more example, just our February future self call. My client, Rebecca, we went through the first part where you're like rating your buckets, and she was comparing it to her numbers from last month. And she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, so I focused on the fun bucket for the last month. And not only did my numbers jump, right? But they jumped in every bucket. So work went from like a 3 to a 7 or a 4 to an 8. When normally her buckets were moving up a notch or two, right? Oh, it went from a 3 to a 4 to a 5 to a 7, right? But this was like a dramatic jump, and all of the buckets were higher than they had ever been any other month that we had done this. And I was like, listen, I don't want to say I told you so. I didn't. I don't actually feel that. I'm just kidding. But here's the thing about this. Like, it wasn't an easy month for her. All of the numbers jumping on the scale, it wasn't like an easy month where everything was just going really well. Like, she was in the middle of a very difficult, like, friendship kind of conflict, almost like a friendship boundary, deciding whether or not to keep going sort of thing. She was making really hard decisions at work. She's trying to find a new place to live, right? All of these things were going on, but because she was focused on prioritizing fun instead of prioritizing like fixing or working hard on, solving these problems, all of her external circumstances felt better. So I hope just from hearing those, I should bring those people. I should bring everyone who has now chosen the fun bucket on for a episode. I'm going to do that where we can talk about it, like the magic of it. Because again, I feel like just like people couldn't just hear it from me, even though I said it over and over. It was like once other people started saying it, kind of snowballed. So like maybe if you hear other people say it besides me, you will pick the fun bucket to prioritize. So why does it work so well? Why have my clients, by focusing on the fun bucket, seen bigger shifts, feeling significantly better, quicker when they're focused on the fun bucket? Let's talk about it. Let's see. So think about how you feel when you are having fun. When you're feeling fun, you are feeling not overwhelmed. When you're having fun, you are not worrying. You are not trying to control people because you're too busy having fun. You are feeling good. When you are having fun, fun is like a present experience, right? You are present when you are having fun, and being present gets us in our bodies, right? And anytime we spend more time in our bodies, that means we are spending less time in our heads. That's where all the trouble starts, right? I always tell people, I was like, get out of your head. Like, you think it's so smart, but it's causing so much trouble. That's where all of the overthinking and energy managing and people pleasing and overachieving and perfectionism, all of it's coming from your brain. Okay, so it gets you into your bodies. Lightening up by adding some fun, by prioritizing fun, means we start remembering. It's like I think that joy is our natural state, and fun creates joy. And so I think what often happens when we kind of are in some sort of a situation where fun is the experience, where it kind of takes over, those are the moments that really remind us of what matters and what doesn't. I think so often that's what happens. You get yourself into a really, like, you have the best day where you just had so much fun and you feel so much joy. And you think in that moment, like, yes, this is what it's all about. This is what life is all about. Not all of the time I spend freaking out and worrying and stressing and in anxiety loops. Like, that isn't important. This is what matters. I should do this more, right? That's what having fun can do. It brings you back into what matters, right? For this one precious life. That's what we want to focus on. When you are having fun, you are in a regulated nervous system state. And what happens when you're in a regulated nervous system state? You are able to access your higher level thinking. So if there are things to be fixed, if there are things going on besides, outside of the fun bucket that need some attention, you're able to think about those things or solve those problems from your higher level thinking, from that neocortex. It gets shut down when we're dysregulated. Fun helps you get into that calm AF energy, so you can access that higher level thinking and solve your problems and be creative. Come up with things that you can't come up with when you're dysregulated. Right? Do you get it? Do you see why it matters? Why I'm always like, pick the fun bucket. Because it takes you out of that dysregulation, that mindset of like, I got to work on myself, work harder, or try harder, and moves you into, what if I was actually just allowing this to happen? What if it was easier? That's what happens when you pick the fun bucket. Just makes so much sense. So I know you are like nodding along. You're like, yes, I'm a believer. I'm on board. I am all aboard for the fun bucket. Let me just give you a little warning. 2 things. First, your brain is going to want to complicate it because that's what brains do. It's going to be like, okay, I'm going to focus on the fun bucket. And then you're going to go to start thinking how can I prioritize adding more fun into my everyday? And you're going to be like, oh gosh, well, I'm going to need more time. I'm going to need more money. I'm going to need to find other people. Don't complicate this. It doesn't have to be extravagant fun. It doesn't have to be oh my gosh, that was the best day of my life. Maybe for you, fun feels like planning an outing with your kids to the park or getting dressed up and going dancing or something. Or maybe fun for you is putting on your pajamas and dancing in your kitchen or curling up with a book. Maybe that feels fun to you. Playing a game. Don't judge it. Don't try and compare it to what you think fun is supposed to be. What feels fun for you, and do that every day. Prioritize it just once a day. Okay, that's the first warning. Don't complicate it. The second warning is you're gonna forget. It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because of the programming. You are hardwired to work first, play later. So right now, even though you're yes, fun bucket all day long, tomorrow you're going, or maybe not even tomorrow, maybe 20 minutes from now, after you aren't listening to this podcast anymore, you are going to be oh, I have a lot of things on my to-do list that I need to get done. You're just going to forget. So all you need to do right now is figure out how you're going to remember. How are you going to remember? Because it makes so much sense. Your life will feel better and you will make bigger shifts and it will happen faster if you choose right now today to start focusing on prioritizing fun, focusing on the fun bucket. But you have to think about how are you going to remember it when real life starts and old programming starts taking back over. How are you going to keep it front of mind? How are you going to make this a habit that every day for the next 30 days, you just try this? If you're in Calm AF Life, you're covered, right? Obviously, I won't shut up about it. And every day I send out little love letter reminders to everyone in the program, right? So if you're in Calm AF Life, I got you because I'm not going to shut up about it. But if you're not, either you need to get in there so that you have this accountability to stay focused, to prioritize, to choose the fun bucket, or you need to figure out a different solution. Am I going to maybe put reminders? Should I go ahead and just, plan out, just make a list of, 50 different things I can think of that are fun. And then every day I just look at that list because I keep it right there on my refrigerator. I keep it right there in the bathroom when I'm getting ready. Today I'm going to pick this. Figure out how you're going to stay accountable to it and then just do it. Okay? And have fun with it, obviously. Have fun with it. The fun bucket will change your life. It will help you be more productive. It will help you feel better in your relationships even before those relationships change. It will help you feel better in your body even before that body changes. Maybe you don't even need to change things. Maybe just adding fun, you'll be able to look around and be like, actually, this isn't as bad as I thought. Because you're looking for what's good. Because you're feeling good. All right. I love you. Go have fun. I will see you next time. Thanks for listening. And before you go, one more thing. So as you know, I am slightly obsessed with helping as many humans tap into their calm AFness as possible. So if this podcast has helped you, would you please leave a review, make sure you're subscribed, and share it with your friends. Also, make sure you head on over to KristenFinch.com to see how you can work with me. You can sign up for my emails and get any other goodies I have available. Until next week, I love you so much. I am so grateful that you're here. I'll see you next time.